I know I said updates were coming soon, keeping in mind that the actual MegaBlack review might be coming eventually. It's just in the editing process, and we're reworking some of the scenes on that one there. Anyways, who wants some pork on their fork?
Ah, this pig along the fuck!
For perfect pork steak, think 6-2-2. 6 minutes on one side, 2 on the other, then rest for 2 more before serving.
What a mess this episode has become. First we have the convention exclusive, you know, the one where it's supposed to be on sale on San Diego Comic-Con but never happened anyway. Hasbro's marketing team just wanted an excuse to divert traffic to their glorified reveal streams that a fraction of people who even actually watched the full stream. I can't stand watching it at 2 AM in the mornings. Why does it have to be so cryptic? I just necked a bit before I went to bed, man. Why does it gotta be like this? That aside, I barely paid much attention beside the fact that I really couldn't care less. If we had to dial back as late 2020 when the subline of figures was announced that it would be the successor to the much successful Evil Space Aliens from the main line. Only this time they were the same scale with added points of articulation. My sudden dismissal and ignorance for this line was mostly on several accounts of overused excuses. It's mostly Zyuranger Kaiju. Scale's whack, and forking out 60 Australian if for one isn't the smartest financial decision. Not that any of this is financially sensible. Sentai monsters specifically were not designed to be manufactured as action figures. Thus, each monster designer assigned to specific shows would have at least free real estate to do whatever they want with it. By far, it would have been the most enjoyable role as a designer because there's no mandates you have to put in these designs. Technically speaking, you can go nuts. They weren't receiving much in regards to merchandise. In fact, the most recognition they would ever receive as purchasable merchandise would go as far back as the Maradai fish sausage keshi. Keshi being the literal translation of a razor, now being a collective term for miniature figures and molded in one color. Sold in gashapon machines all over Japan, or in this case, fish snacks. By far these are the most common examples, with a few exceptions of the villain cast being released as vinyl figures, and in the modern collecting market, fuck all. We have few exceptions here and there, and that's really small potatoes in greater comparison to many other action figure based toy lines. Otherwise, for a lack of better term, there really is no love for these over-designed monstrosities. Aside from some art books you may collect very few so often, I can understand from a specific market demographic that trends are vastly different and nowadays nobody really knows what children like. Toys are meant to make sense to kids, not exactly to adults on the surface level. That being said, those differences are apparent once you witness the Japanese market having no monsters, aside from some Ultra Kaiju, Godzilla toys, Evangelion Angels, and of course Gundam mobile suits. Perhaps it's not entirely different. Just suppose that the risks are taken when merchandising are mostly considered. Some monsters are more marketable than others. The rest of the world, on the other hand, just dump it with whatever there is. I personally think this is more or less a rectification. However, even the rectification had pre-existed during the original run of Mighty Morphin Power Ranger toys. So unfortunately, I never saw these as the white whale for Power Rangers. That would have to go to at least something towards something more obscure. Although I did find it neat that they'll actually go to lengths to develop this as a subline. And therefore, it found its footing once everyone knew how awkward the first releases were. Like some people, I passed on to them. For $60 a pop, you can't really justify this kind of purchasing power. When you know a Gunpla kit that is 1:100 scale is identically at the same price, you basically have a purchasing dilemma. And also, I don't really have that much Kaiju. How's that? And this can set you back a few more dollars because this was sold as an quote-unquote exclusive for their online convention. I didn't soy boy hard over it. And yeah, I think the NFT was a dumb idea that crypto nerds even rolled their eyes over knowing it had no substance. As far as exclusives it goes, this one comes off as less difficult to acquire in comparison to the standard release. While I have no absolute clue about the standard release, this eventually turned out to be part of what I now dub the Australian Fan Channel Collective. From here on out, any GameStop or Pulse exclusive eventually gets rolled out to these following shops. But that's not exactly the case of all exclusives, but mostly the ones that Hasbro's produced in high numbers, regardless of the marquee value being tied to a Babbage's franchise. So you may see more lunchboxes here than you'll ever see with action figure style boxes. I don't really know how many people despise the lunchbox presentation. It's cheesy, that's the given fact for Power Rangers merch back in the day. In fact, let's look inside the lunchbox. Now as far as the contents is concerned in the lunchbox, obviously you get yourself an up and go, a bar of LCMs, pack of Tim Tams, Dunkaroos. There is cyanide in this apple. Oh, what's this? Oh, there's a sandwich. Hasbro sandwich. Oh wait, where's the pig? Oh sorry, I need to go to the Asian supermarket.
Oh, who are you? What the fuck you want?
Yeah, I'm here for a kilo of pork belly.
Okay, you want pork? I'll give you pork. I found this one on the street.
Wait, what does it look like? Okay, yeah, I'll take that.
$400. $400 for pork? Are you fucking kidding me? I kill cow, chicken, pork every day. I look like I kill somebody. My house looks like a crime scene. And the council find out, I go straight to jail.
Okay, $400. Well, that was fucked up. Okay, I got myself a pig. Really? A pig? They chose to do a pig for this year's exclusive. Well, after the San Diego Comic-Con, Jason 2-pack, and the Lord Draken Evo 3, I'm not that perplexed over why they decided to go with this. Sure, it's a whole kinda different, and especially those who are absolutely stubborn about acquiring such novelties like Kaiju are pretty much cringing over the fact that I have a pig in the house. It looks very well crafted. The details on the helmet mohawk, almost as there is minuscule bristles molded separately. Instead, it's a whole chunk that you have to peg into the figure. Its balance may throw people off, and for a strange novel design, it's quite back heavy if you don't put in the right posture. Although I wouldn't be surprised if the original monster suit had the same issues. It may look extremely awkward based on its posture and proportions. However, this was a drawback from the designs illustrated by Ryu Noguchi, and one of his last contributions to Sentai character design. The stark contrast in design is quite obvious when being compared to the likes of Griforza, who was designed by Tamotsu Shinohara. However, aesthetic wise, it somehow blends in with the show's themes of dinosaurs and high fantasy. It just looks pleasing, but also at the same time, very uncanny. Like if you were handling real pork product, wrinkles and toenails and all. I see enough barbecue pork hung up in Chinese restaurants. Guess I'm less sanitized to those kinds of things. It has colory, just like in show, it's show accurate, I guess. There's also some effect pieces, but of over 50 figure releases, I'm not convinced this may have been recycled from some older release. What's in this bag? The accessories are so minuscule I could probably yeet the fuck out of these.
Fucking cunt!
Very well detailed despite being throwaway items. The nachos aren't pleasing to look at. It does look like chunks of vomit. Blueberry pies? Yeah, I wish it had been a meat pie, but it looks very well detailed, and the slice can go into the cut, so that's a plus. There's terrible nubs on the accessories that haven't been well cleaned before the paint application. It's good for articulated comic book art. But for some bonus points, you can grab some fresh chili from the backyard and feed it to this fucker so you can watch him munt. Oh, you sick cunt! Well, that concludes our articulation. Well, I say that concludes our articulation. Articulation. Excuse me for one moment. Articulation. Articulation.
Shut up! Shut the fuck up!
I guess I have to go over this, otherwise a ransack of comments will be passing by and be like, look guys, he didn't go through the articulation! And yeah, after thousands of action figure reviews, especially ones showing the same buck, aren't you already tired of the same recycled rubbish? This is an enigma of a release. It's good reason why people often opt out for the glorified lunchbox. They eventually will chuck in the bin. The pig is fantastic. Maybe that is I don't own many Kaiju toys, that the experience has been much more or less a culture shock, and has become more or less a sand trap to buy more monster figures. Paint applications, if there was any, it's really minuscule. Primarily it's molded on the plastic with applications of lack of paint on the eyes, snout and teeth. Accessories are acceptable as always, however 3D printing and aftermarket options are a thing, so if you want more appetizing accessories, there are your options. We all wish there were radishes, but sure, it's a missed opportunity, but I digress. At least the benefactor being that you have a cavity to store your accessories. Can I recommend this? Are you willing to spend the extra dough on food? I mean, I paid $12 for the snacks and these skits. Do you find the lunchbox a benefactor to your bragging rights? Sure, why not? I can recommend both releases. And that depends on your spending habits and budget, but truthfully, you aren't missing out on any striking differences. For me, my issue is space. Then again, where the hell am I supposed to put this?